So I was just asking what traditional was because I'm gonna be honest with everybody on the panel. I've never really been taught what traditional was because I grew up with my mom. So I didn't really get to see like how what how that entails or how that works. But if we're talking traditional as in like traditional life, like what is a traditional life? Just so we can elaborate. So I know.
Traditional life is, when we talk about traditional life, we talk about traditional gender roles where typically a woman keeps herself chaste. Typically she's a virgin or close to it when at marriage. She's knows her place. She lives under the man. She lives at his means. She respects her man. She doesn't think that she's equal. She's hardworking. She's modest. She covers herself. She's not out in the streets. She doesn't have a hoe phase. This is a traditional. These are the traditional values that people believe in women, and the traditional values in men are that men take care of the family. The man is the head of the home. The man doesn't allow his woman to pay half of the rent or the mortgage. The man takes care of everything, and so on and so forth. You understand, right? The man
Yeah,
needs to be
yeah.
respected
I
and so
get
on.
yeah, I get what you're saying now. So I think in terms of today's society, I think most women don't want that because they want to have their freedom and independence. Do I necessarily agree with it? Not really, because you should be able to have that. The right man should be able to make you feel free regardless. But I do feel that most women, they have this notion that I need to, I want to have my independence and I want to have this and I want to have that, but I also want my man to kind of cater to me and everything like that. But it's like if he's already providing for you, if he's already doing all those things for you, now you want to add more stress onto him by making him cater and succumb to your every whim. Like at what point do we have that shift, right? So I do feel that majority of today's society, they do kind of want that whole traditional man, but they're not willing to succumb to being a traditional wife.
Hey,
And mhm.
you mentioned something about a man should make you feel free. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is when you're in love or when you're in a relationship, that relationship and just being around, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but when you're around that person that just makes you feel good, that makes you feel free just by looking at them and seeing them smile, makes your shitty day better. That's what I mean by free. It's a different type of feeling when you've had a stressful day and your man looks at you and smiles. And you're just like, that in itself makes you happy. That in itself, you're just like, man, at least I got something right today. At least something, I did something good today out of everything else that I did. And I feel like for me, it's, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm more of an empath, but like when it comes to like my man, the someone that I call my man, his happiness means a lot more to me than all this other bullshit that most women would value. Because if I love him and all of him, and I love to see him happy and at peace.
So, how did you guys feel about what Miss Callie said? I've seen some facial expressions. I don't know what that means. So, if you guys can express yourself verbally, sounds
For
like a good deal,
me,
right?
Fairy tale.
I just think that I feel like I'm out of the loop in the conversation because I don't view I don't view relationships based on who's ambitious. So when Brittany was on here and she's like, "Oh, I need a man that he's gonna be ambitious and da 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 da," because the truth of the matter is, men aren't always ambitious. Everybody goes through phases. So like, it's gonna be a phase where he's just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always this, black and white picture that we like to portray and create these lists of unrealistic expectations that we have on people. The truth is, Callie, when you find somebody that you really love and you fall in love with that person, you're going to make different sacrifices. And this conversation that we having ain't going to matter when it comes to matters of the heart, right? Because our brain tells us to do a lot of things and our heart tells us something different. And I think that sometimes, yes, it's important, right? It's important to stand on principle because I've been hurt before and I went through this and I got to make sure this happens. But in reality, nothing ever works out that way. And if you've been in a marriage and if you've been in a long-term relationship, you know that it takes commitment and it takes sacrifices on both ends.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting here having a conversation and you're saying, "Oh no, I can't be with a man based on how much he makes or what he brings to the table," that's unrealistic.
I never said that.
No, I'm just thinking of
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, that never came out of my mouth, girl. You can have $1 to your name. I don't
I
care.
think that men really care. Like men do not really care. Like if you got 3 PhDs on the I literally don't like to talk about myself. I'm being honest. Like most of the things you find out about me, I'm just gonna say,
really?
like they be like, oh, you was this, oh yeah. But I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it because to me, I want them to see more than that. Because my mama always tell me, you're not gonna die with any of these things. We got about 40 more years to live our life. And we sitting here worried about finding a man that has ambition. Find out a man that has good moral character, someone
I
you
got
can be
60, but go ahead, Aisha, go ahead.
that you can grow a legacy and y'all can have a family and y'all can keep the family name going and you can create traditions, because that to me is what matters more than all of the stuff that y'all discussed on this panel, because that stuff is easily achieved. And my sister's probably worked at a nursing home for the last 10 years. She's a supervisor. And the number one thing that she noticed is like how people react when they die alone versus when they with somebody. She literally have people that are like astronauts, right? That are dying the fuck alone. They have 10 million investments and they leaving that stuff to nobody. They just donating it, creating grants and foundations. And I think in my mind, I want a legacy. You know, I come from a very strong legacy of people, and I feel like we wasting too much time on the small stuff. And so in this conversation, I just felt like I really didn't have a leg in this fight because my traditions and the values that I stand on, even though I'm a modern woman, are kind of Southern. I'm a Southern belle. It's a little different. Like I'm comfortable with like being barefoot and pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And some women are. So it's like,
and that's what I said.
And I also have degrees and I also have all these accolades, but it's like I'm very comfortable just being that. So I don't need all this extra stuff to feel like this whole of completion. And you know, my interest in being a man doesn't have anything to do with most of the things that were discussed today. Because me and my man, we ride Spirit. We are getting the $59 flight together. So
that's exactly what I said,
Aisha,
and that's what I meant.
Hey, Aisha, I just got a call. Aisha, I just got a call from Ali. She said you sound like a pick me.
Oh, baby, you already know Ali said that.
I told her.
She texted you.
Nah, she texted me for real though. But I was thinking about doing a ceremony, man. I might have to have you lead that ceremony, man. We're gonna see if we could get some.
I can be the queen pick me. I'm okay with that. You know?
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get some
it's
water.
crazy, but it's crazy they always call people that though. I hate that we, and it's more of women that'll call another woman that, and it's like, why? To me, it's like it pisses me off. It's like just because our traditional values or what we consider traditional or what we want out of ourselves or we feel is more valuable, just because you differentiate from that, now you got to stick to name calling because you can't articulate yourself in a way to get us to understand your perspective. Is just crazy to me. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, Aisha, everything you said wholeheartedly, because I come from my mom, she's Filipino. The Filipino tradition is a lot different than the American tradition. So, you know, how they raise their households, how all those things, like that's kind of what I grew up on. And we never used the word traditional. It was just like, you know, this is what it was. You know, I didn't really start hearing about this traditional, non-traditional stuff until I started doing podcasts, which is like literally this is only my 4th time doing one. So, you know, thank you, Amira, for clarifying what that looks like. Because to me, I thought that's just how it's supposed to be regardless. I didn't know there was a whole terminology for it.